Take a walk down by the sea, picking up colored shells in the sand.
South Caicos and headed to Dominican Republic. Our destination is Luperon today. Two other boats, one of them is Cactus and the other one is Wanderer. So we got checked out this morning. It's $50 to check out and $50 to check in. So I actually stayed longer than the 7 days and they didn't charge me the $300 cruising permit, which is nice. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be low winds and it's going to be a motor sail, I think, the whole way. Very calm conditions. Yeah, South Caicos is a wonderful little town. Friendliest people. There's actually the resort over there. It's kind of low season right now for the resort, so I guess there wasn't that many people at that resort. Did meet a couple of them, and from the States. And so that's Wanderer up above. And he's actually got a really nice boat. I can't remember the brand of it, but Dallas has the same boat. Probably a little over 10 knots of wind, and the wind actually backed a little bit, so I'm actually sailing to Luperon, which is quite amazing. I don't know how often that happens. You just gotta wait for the right weather window, and it just so happens that this was a good one so far. I didn't see any squalls off in the distance, so hopefully, you never know when that's gonna happen. Probably nighttime I might reduce sails and might have to go back to motor sailing. We'll see what happens. But seas are relatively comfortable. There's maybe 3-foot swells right now, but really that's not a problem at all. It's comfortable. I'm actually doing 7 knots now by sail alone, and that's actually too fast because I don't want to arrive in the middle of the night, like 2:30 in the morning. So I'm going to put a reef in it shortly before sunset and slow the boat down, because I really don't want to arrive before 6 o'clock, let's say. 7 o'clock would be better, but I hate slowing the boat down, but just can't arrive at darkness. Well, it's almost sunrise, and we've come very close to Luperon. We're about, I don't know, 6 miles to the entrance. Just looking at Navionics, and according to Navionics, sunrise is at 6:20, and there's a little catch though. There's apparently fishing nets in the entrance, so, that are marked with yellow and white plastic bottles apparently, so need some good visibility to hopefully get around that, because don't want to get caught up in fishing nets. And Wanderer just passed me, so if he wants to go in and check it out before me, I'm okay with that. Tuesday afternoon. The sea breeze is extremely strong today, so we're going to leave to Savannah, or leave for Savannah today, but wow, the winds are gusting probably 25 knots at least just in the harbor here. You can imagine what they are like off the coast right now. So the waves and the wind would be extremely strong today. So the plan is to leave tomorrow. Apparently it's supposed to calm down according to Chris Parker. So just, you know, the dinghy dock is just down here, and just coming in here you get soaked from the chop. So you get kind of wet with this dirty water. And I believe this dinghy here is, that's the Cactus dinghy. So they're going to bring, there's a couple there, they're going to take them over to Wanderer, which is this nice a meal. I think it's around 50 feet, or it's a big, huge boat. So it's one of those really windy days. Look at that. I'm on a mooring ball, and look at how this thing is tossing the boat around. Now this is a Beneteau, which does seem to sail on anchor, but it certainly sails around on a mooring ball as well. So just an update. I'm still in Luperon. We're going to leave yesterday, and we were going to leave tonight, but we got another notification from a weather router, and he said it's a no-go for a couple of days. It looks like there might be something opening up Saturday night, but to be honest with you, leaving Luperon Harbor at night is very dark. Like, it's about a nautical mile to motor up through all the buoys in the channel, and the buoys aren't necessarily lined up there. So I'm thinking I'll probably follow the other boats out and let them, you know, if they snag a buoy, or if they snag a fishing net, at least I can turn around. And so I guess that would be my plan. Or I can probably move the boat closer to the ocean. Like, there's other anchorages, so maybe I'll move it in closer. But there's challenges getting out of Luperon Harbor because it's so dark, and there's boats that have been anchored here for years that don't have anchor lights, so you can't see them. And they generally do stay out of the channel. So I do have a track that I saved when I came from Turks and Caicos into the harbor here, so I can just follow the same track out. But yeah, it's challenging. The other challenging thing is when you're sailing along the north coast of Dominican Republic, the weather and the wind and the waves pick up during the day, and if you follow Bruce Van Sant's advice, which he's got this book out, he says do a night sail, and everything calms down at night, and then during the day you must be anchored. So there's a couple of anchorages along the north coast, but you just don't want to be anchored there if the wind is blowing from the north. So there's all these challenges. So that's why it's important to go with a couple of other boats, because everybody's got their input, and you know, you make kind of a group decision. And of course, you know, using a weather router is great, and we've got the other tools, you know, that are internet based, that you can get wind and wave and grid data. That's you know, a couple of opinions, a couple of multiple sources you need, and offshore reports. So it's a real challenge getting from Dominican Republic to Puerto Rico. It's one of the most talked about passages in the Eastern Caribbean, so it can be quite long. The other boats now are thinking, well, maybe we'll leave Luperon and do a straight shot to the north side of Puerto Rico. I think at this point, I don't think this boat is really ready for that. I only carry 55 gallons of fuel. That's stretching it. Like, if I had to motor the whole way, I'll probably run out of fuel. so I'm a bit nervous about doing that. There's really no place to top up fuel in the northeastern part of Dominican Republic, if that's the plan, is to do a straight shot. So there's so many things to think about. Perhaps I could maybe make it to the western side of Puerto Rico, where there is marinas, and I could check in there. I could probably make that protocol. So yeah, there is a vast amount of challenges doing this part of the Caribbean. So I've just exited the main harbor in Luperon, and I'm staging on the eastern lobe of the entrance for a midnight departure, heading to Samana. So I got my dispatcho today, and there seems to be no problem leaving late at night. They probably put 6 or 7 on your actual dispatcho, but I just told them I'm just waiting for the wind to die down. So I did move the boat near the entrance, or the exit to the ocean, and it seems to be fine in the morning, not too rolly, and anchor seems to be holding in, looks like mud, but can't really tell because the water's still pretty murky there. So I'm just gonna have breakfast here at the Cyber Cafe and stock up on a few more groceries, because I'm not sure I'm going to get off the boat until Samana. And the neat thing was, if for whatever reason I couldn't make it to Samana and I wanted to go to Puerto Rico, which is a long passage, another extra 2 days, I could actually arrive in Puerto Rico with the paperwork that I have now. Well, the first 3 or 4 hours after departing Luperon was very rough. The winds didn't really die down, and the waves were quite steep. And then after that, it just kind of died down a little bit. I was able to pick up the speed. I was actually at one point doing 5.5 knots. Set my 15-minute timer and have a little cat nap, and it's about 6 or 7 this month right now. I got a couple more hours before I can get into Rio San Juan.